Welcome back to Torment. There's a few people here left to talk to. You can hear liquid coursing through these ancient pipes. This whole building seems to predate the Ninth World.
Allow me.
Sir Arthur. This man has leathered, dark brown skin and hair as white as the full moon. He peers at you from beneath long strips of eyebrows, sucking on a long pipe that has been made from either segmented wood or the leg of an enormous insect. His clothing is blue and formal, like a priest or a professor of some kind. All over him, on his belt, in every pocket, on both shoulders, even hovering in the air around his head, are glowing, chittering devices of all kinds. Let me guess, he sucks from his pipe. A ball of green steam flows away from his mouth. You're a traveler, that much is clear. An explorer, yet you have the look of a farmer visiting a teeming metropolis for the first time. He taps various relics on his person. Never seen the like, have you? Fortunately for you, I adore educating folks on the subject of Numenera. I've also traveled extensively and seen much of the world. Go ahead. Ask me whatever you'd like to know. A metallic bug-like creature perched on the side of his head begins glowing. It crawls into his ear and he pauses as though listening. After a moment, the bug scuttles out and resumes its perch. He leans forward and lowers his voice. So you're a mind reader, eh? Well, I won't hold it against you. But old Arthur wouldn't walk into a bar of psychics without mental protection, so don't expect to read much from me. How did you know I could read your thoughts? Nurman told me. He points at the bug, now burying itself in the shock of white hair. He can detect that sort of thing, and then this one blocks it. He pulls out a circular device from his pocket. I don't like letting people know what I'm thinking. Too dangerous. He puts the device back into his vest. That's the new disc, of course. My first psychic blocker used to melt brain matter, provoke people to no end, especially those who didn't know their friends were psychic. So, who are you? Goodness, forgive me. He stretches out his hand. Sir Arthur Torment, traveler, explorer, and lifelong student of the Numenera. I have seen everything between here and the Steadfast, and I have studied Numenera of all kinds for decades. There is no man more knowledgeable about the Ninth World than he who sits before you, I assure you. Why are you here? Knowledge, of course. I have traveled all over the Steadfast and the beyond, but I had to know what was beyond the beyond. Who knows how much time I have left on this world? I wanted to see for myself. Why are you here in this tavern? Libations! He lifts his glass enthusiastically. I'm trying to determine the nature of these fantastic liquids. Also, the people here are quite informative. No better place to learn about a city than its taverns. He takes a deep swig from his glass. What are the Numenera? His eyes light up, as too do a number of devices on his person, though you cannot see why. The Numenera are practically everything around you. We live among the detritus of uncountable civilizations, many of which were more powerful than you or even I can imagine. Everything they left us is the Numenera: weapons, power sources, medicines, gels, plants, animals. Why, even the very grit in the ground and shins in your pocket are examples of Numenera. It's such a broad term that the Order of Truth has categorized the Numenera with terms like oddities, ciphers, and artifacts. Of course, any true student of the Numenera considers these categories too broad still. I have my own distinctions, but that is neither here nor there. He takes a puff from his pipe. In any case, it is the Numenera that power the wonders of the world, from an explorer's esoteries to the datasphere to the drinks in this very tavern. What's the difference between oddities, ciphers, and artifacts? He takes a long puff on his pipe before answering. For the most part, he says, those terms refer to how useful a device is. It makes sense. As wonderful and powerful as the relics of the past are, nobody in this world gives a damn unless it can fix their problems. He sighs. They don't care how it works or where it came from, eh? But if they can use it to feed themselves, fight off an errant Grask, or at least get them a few extra shins, now they're interested. He shows you the back of his fist and sticks out a thumb. Oddities are the least useful. They do something alright. Heat your drink, float in the air, make everything you say sound like music, whatever. But it's rarely something anyone can get any utility out of. Oddities are fascinating, but pragmatically, they're only worth a few shins. He sticks his pointer finger in the air next to his thumb. Ciphers, now, those might do anything. Heal your body, shoot a blast of flame, teleport you somewhere safe, and so on. But they're volatile. Whatever they do, they'll do it just once. And if you don't know what you're doing, putting too many together can give you what's called cipher sickness. He puts up a third finger. Artifacts won't do that. That term belongs to devices that last. Maybe not forever, but more so than a one-shot. What's cipher sickness? Terrible. Just terrible. He sets his pipe down. Ciphers are volatile devices, as I told you. If you know what you're doing, you can separate, insulate, quarantine, thus carrying more ciphers than your average explorer without ill effects. Something on his person starts chirping. He taps his pocket to stop it, but otherwise pays it no mind. But if you carry more than you can handle, those ciphers react in unpredictable ways, draining your energy, wearing you down, or worse. He leans forward conspiratorially. This one time, I saw a cluster of ciphers bond to each other and gain what I can only describe as sentience. Ripped my assistant to pieces before tearing it off into the cold desert. Haven't seen it since. He picks up his pipe and sticks it back in his mouth. It was completely unexpected. I felt bad about that assistant, but, well, science and all that. He shrugs. How would you categorize the Numenera? A fascinating question. He sets down his drink and leans forward. I'll give you the brief version, because you obviously have places to be. But simply, I am less interested in how useful a device is than its means of function. He takes a quick puff from his pipe and sets that down as well. Now, the technology of the prior worlds is far too incomprehensible and varied for us to truly understand which civilizations created what. But we can define some basic categories. He counts each one of his fingers. Many devices deal with the fundamental forces: gravity, magnetism, sound, light, even time itself. Automatons and created intelligences fall under artificial life. Biotechnology covers a wide variety of Numenera. Many plants and animals that we consider natural were in fact created by prior worlds for some arcane purpose. The bloom may fall under this category. Someday I'll hire a team to find out, if I can find anyone reckless enough. There are chemical devices as well as those dealing in various forms of matter: metals, liquids, crystals, and conversions between the three. His eyes light up. The most interesting are also the most esoteric. Nanotechnology, which covers much of what common folk consider magic. Transdimensional tech and technology related to the datasphere itself. He leans back, reinserting his pipe. But these are just the classifications I prefer. The Numenera defy definition. What is the datasphere? It's difficult to say exactly. At a most basic level, the datasphere is information stored within the air itself. But it's much, much more than that. Several of the prior worlds created similar spheres of knowledge around or throughout our world. Our term datasphere encompasses all of them, the connections between them, and the effects thereof. For example, he lifts a knotted finger. People talk about glimmers, visions from another place or time. These are actually some portion of the datasphere accessing human minds. Some ciphers, even some nanos, can access arcane knowledge from the datasphere. Why, even so-called telepathy is sometimes two people communicating through the datasphere without realizing it. The datasphere as a subject of research is far too large for several lifetimes. Alas, I have only been able to spend my time delving into devices that seem to use it, but not the datasphere itself, or rather, the various and incompatible networks that comprise the datasphere. Perhaps someday. She had been leaning in, listening intently, and leans back with disappointment etched across her features. It is a worthy field of study. I had hoped that we might share our knowledge. Perhaps when you've acquired several lifetimes, as I have, we will speak further on the subject. What are esoteries? I should know, I'm a nano, but let's just ask the question anyway. Esotery is the common name for any of various powers or abilities that cannot be explained by our understanding of science. Nanos are capable of esoteries more than most, but other people, and even creatures sometimes, exhibit powers that we would call esoteries as well. What are shins exactly? He peers at you over his glasses. Ah, you are new, aren't you? Shins are currency. The Aeon priests believe that some very ancient prior worlds use specific metals or crystals as currency per their rarity. But of course, no metal is truly rare anymore. Half the nanos I've met can transmute metal into crystal. Why, I once transmuted flesh into gold, though not entirely on purpose. Anyway, rarity is useless as a means of value, so the value of shins isn't necessarily a social construct. Shins can be any coin-like object or jagged bit of interesting material, though I think you'll find there is remarkable agreement as to what does and does not constitute a true shin. Many realms in the Steadfast actually mint their own money, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a traveling merchant who didn't accept anything you had at the time. How is Drit part of the Numenera? Run your hand through the soil, son, and you'll find it's hardly soil at all. It's filled with the microscopic remains of ancient, unknown technologies and structures, commonly known as Drit. Why, in some places, the Drit is even alive. He takes a sip from his mug. I don't recommend sleeping on the ground in those places, by the way. Terribly unnerving for the survivors. What's the Order of Truth? It's what you might call an organized religion, except it's not a religion. Oh, members of the order call themselves priests, and their founder, the Amber Pope. They don't worship anything per se, except perhaps their own intellects. I understand this town has its own branch of the order. They can answer your questions better than I. How do you know so much about the Numenera? Cipher gathering was always the main source of income for my family. Alas, no more, but I have extended that penchant into pure research. It is not arrogant to say that mine is one of the greatest laboratories in the Steadfast. Why, an entire university has sprung up around my home. I specialize in research and experimentation. Prospective assistants apply almost daily, which is good considering how quickly we churn through them. He clears his throat. I'd like to know more about the world. Of course. Ask me anything you like. I traveled all over the Ninth World, through the Steadfast and the Beyond. I even know a little about this part of the world, the so-called Beyond the Beyond. I've met explorers of all kinds and listened to countless stories. So, what is it you would like to know? What can you tell me about the Steadfast? Much, my friend, much. Too much, in fact. The Steadfast is a collection of kingdoms and principalities far west of here, all the way at the end of the continent. He blows smoke from his mouth. It forms into a purple ball and drops to, and then through, the floor. It is where the Order of Truth holds sway more than anywhere else. There are several different kingdoms, along with scattered villages and aldeias, but they all swear fealty to the Amber Pope and his Aeon priests. He utters a small growl. The Order requires nobles of the Steadfast to fight against the Gaians, supposedly a cult to the north. I have never been there myself, so I don't know the truth. But it sounds like a waste of lives and resources if you ask me. That's why I keep my laboratory in the southern reaches, as far from the conflict as possible. He sucks on his pipe thoughtfully. Granted, the Order did ask me to leave after several incidents, but I was planning on moving anyway. What can you tell me about the Beyond? A wilderness between the Steadfast and here. Highly dangerous. His words seem meant to frighten, but he has an excited glimmer in his eye. Some of the most interesting claves and villages can be found there. I found one village whose people hovered a meter off the ground from birth to death. The villagers of another will tell you the exact method of your future death. I can't say how accurate they were, though several of my assistants tendered their resignations. Further out is the realm of the most deadly creatures, landscapes and weather. Oh yes, he says, seeing your expression. The land and weather itself will rip you apart in several locations in the Beyond. You've heard of the Iron Wind. It is but one of the cruel rulers of that land, though perhaps the most infamous. A cloud of invisible machines altering the physical structure of anything and anyone it touches. He grins widely as he brings his cup to his lips. Truly terrible. What can you tell me about the areas beyond the Beyond? You're in it, friend. They call it the Sagas Protectorate, or at least this portion of it. There is Sagas Cliffs and the Bloom nearby. I've heard of places like Haref and Mirajolios far to the east. I'm most excited to explore this Valley of Dead Heroes I've heard so much about. A place to inter the dead? Bound to be some very interesting relics in a place like that. He sighs. In truth, I am only a recent arrival to this place myself. You would do better speaking with the locals. What can you tell me about different kinds of explorers? Brave and intrepid souls, my friend. Explorers come in all shapes and packages, but I think that you'll find most people prefer to label the bravest explorers as glaives, nanos, or jacks. Glaives are the elite warriors of the world. Nanos are those who study the Numenera, using it to perform powerful esoterics. He taps a yellowish ash from his pipe. Jack is something of a catch-all term. They're mostly pragmatic folk who know a little fighting and a little Numenera. Jacks of all trades, as it were. But explorers of any stripe are useful to have around, especially if you're expecting trouble. Why do they call this the Ninth World? An interesting question. He takes a preparatory swig from his cup. One would think it's because 8 worlds came before us, but even a cursory study of the Numenera reveals far too much breadth and variation for there to have been a mere 8 prior worlds that created all. One then might ask what qualifies as a world. We could say the first through 8 worlds are defined as the most powerful or influential civilizations of their eras. But even that fails under the most basic reasoning. If the previous 8 worlds we refer to were the greatest of the ancients, then what qualifies this world, wherein we cannot even understand the most basic theories governing a time augur, to be the 9th? The truth, I'm afraid, is that we call this the 9th world simply because that is what we have decided to call it. No more and no less. That seems like everything. Alright, thank you. That was an awful lot of lore you just dumped on me, Sir Arthur. Lebaros. This man's mind is sealed off from you, like trying to read the thoughts of a book that's been glued shut. The man is old and strong, his face lined with years of brutal experience. His face is aquiline, his nose sharp. He wears a broad-brimmed hat, and his voice is a low rasp. Lebaros, he says, tell me your story. Make it a good one. I was born falling from the sky, and now I'm trying to repair a chamber that will stop a nightmare. He watches you intently as you speak, and when you finish, he nods sharply. You're telling the truth, he says. A lot of people embellish, or they lie outright. They try to pretend they're more than they are so people will remember them as giants. More often than not, they just end up looking ridiculous. He pats you on the shoulder. You've given me a rare treat. Thanks. So, what do you want? Can't help you with your chamber, but maybe there's something else. What can you tell me about the adversaries? His eyes narrow and he leans in close. I don't want to talk about them. It's important to understand that they are not unbeatable, that they are not immortal. They're tough, hells yes, but they can be stopped. He leans back. That said, what are they? You heard of spirits, beings of pure thought? That's what they are, except that they're more like living hate, like every nightmare of fear that you can't escape, a vortex of despair, and that's why we fight, because they're poison. Can you tell me about yourself? I'm the brains of this operation. He gestures with a lazy hand around the table. Without me, they'd lose the thread of their thoughts and spend all their time wandering in dreams. We're just trying to get away from your nagging, tips his friend a wink. It's that nagging that sharpens my word, Damo. Though I admit that my words are probably getting duller every second I spend talking to you. He turns back to you. Let's call me a warrior of language. Words are my weapon and my treasures. They might be pretty sounds to you, but to me, they're the tools that pry open your imagination and leave you vulnerable to my friends here. I build pictures, set the scenes, and create mazes in your mind. He takes a careful sip of his drink. I'm the last person in the world to know the lost words of Kra. He closes his eyes tightly, and when he opens them again, you see worms of light dancing in his eyes. They're gone again with his next blink. They're a weaponized meme. A thought that sticks in your head, a tune you can't get rid of. A saying that echoes in your mind until it drives you mad and melts your brain. She lays a hand on his arm. You don't have to talk about this, Lebaros. She turns to you. It's eating away at him. He has it compartmentalized, but he says that he can feel it burning away in his mind. I feel the power in you. Can you help him? I would that I could, maybe in the future. What are you going to do about the weaponized meme that's burning your mind? Well, I could always kill myself. Honestly, I don't think anyone else can carry it, and the alternatives are too horrific to bear. He tilts his glass towards them. I love my colleagues here, but can they handle the words of Kra? I don't think so. Right now, I've got them locked into a mental construct no one has even the slightest idea how to build. I can take these for them, huh? I do have space in my mind, and I can contain the words of Kra there. He leans back and crosses his arms. Really? And how is it that you're a better custodian for the words of Kra than I am? I would if I wasn't so drained. Maybe there's another option. Right, well, I could always come back to this. What can you tell me about this place? Ask Dama, ask Leto, ask Zio or Feria. I just drink here. Can you tell me any stories about the others in this bar? I can, but I won't. Talk to them yourself. They all have a piece of wisdom that they carry in themselves, and I won't dishonor them by telling their stories for them. He scratches under the brim of his hat. I can eulogize them, but every story would start like, he's a warrior, selfless and self-absorbed, knowing about themselves so they can help the world. But they're all more than that. See if you can get them from a different perspective than me. This woman's face seems timeless, neither old nor young, unblemished but somehow not perfect. Her dark and wavy hair floats like a cloud to her shoulders. When she speaks, her voice is musical, almost artificial. I'm Zio, and you are? She concentrates, fingers pressed to her temples. When her table mates start smiling, she pulls them away. I'm not actually a mind reader like these two, just a joker. Can you answer my questions seriously? I can, although you'll need to answer a question for me first. Tell me, are you from the area? A small hamlet, slightly isolated, but still within the broader Sagas Protectorate, somewhere near Arvin Wood, perhaps? I actually don't know where I'm from. I was born in a falling star. What? How is it that you know the language here? You must be particularly observant. Your voice, your inflections, your mannerisms. They speak of someone whose upbringing was based on an older version of the Sagas Cliff's dialect. That suggests an isolated aldea or an enclave of some sort. Although she claimed not to be a mind reader, Zio's mind is impenetrable. She might as well be one of the bartender's pumps. Can you tell me more about yourself? I am Zio. I hail from the western reaches of the Clock of Kala, near Mathaenus. She bows her head modestly. I have had the opportunity to serve with my fellows here in a number of disturbances, though if you wish to hear more about these conflicts, you must speak with Dama. I am their support, their backup, and if need be, their physical offense. What's going on in this place? It's the Fifth Eye. It's where the psychics and scions of Sagas Cliffs have been coming for generations to protect ourselves from the noise of the city. Life is easier when you're among friendly people, those of your own kind. She laughs. Though not everyone here is technically one of us. Some of the people you see here are manifestations of our minds. Some of them were called here by our minds. Some have come from other dimensions even. She leans back, tapping a finger on her lips. I have a challenge for you. One of the five of us who owns this bar is a projection. Talk to the other veterans of the psychic wars and see if you can figure out which one of us is the projection. You can ask each one of us only once, so make your question and count. Are you the psychic projection? Me? No, indeed. In fact, I am projecting him now. It's my power that makes the projection possible. If I were you, I'd focus on physicality. Best of luck. Zyop says one of you is a psychic projection. Is it you? A psychic projection? That's an interesting way to word it, Z. He tilts his head back towards Zio. Couldn't you say that we're all psychic projections in one way or another? He leans in. Put it this way. Are you always how I picture you? Does your behavior change based on my thoughts? Yes. Depending on that image, anyway. I might change my behavior to improve your opinion. So, you're influenced by my thoughts. But are my thoughts the whole of you? If they are, then you're my imagination, and the converse. You'd say we're one consciousness subjectively experiencing itself, and that means we're all each other's and our own psychic projections. He takes a slow, reflective breath. But we're also autonomous, eh? At least to some degree. You exist when I'm not paying attention to you. Pretty sure I have no need to imagine someone like you. We might as well say that we're all interconnected at a fundamental level, that our thoughts and actions have effects on each other. It might not be reality, that is the truth. But we each have a perception of a truth. It is a guiding star that we use to live our lives. It's not reality for everyone, but it's reality for us. It's our story. He rolls his eyes. Oh no, Zio. Febros is getting started again. Hush you, I'm lecturing. He turns back to you. Even if we don't understand reality, we understand stories. So maybe our best gauge for how we experience each other is through the stories we know and the words we use when we tell those stories. He laughs. What I'm really telling you is that I'm not Zyob's projection. Maybe learn some of our tales and you'll get to the truth. A truth, anyway. The wispy mustache on this pudgy, middle-aged man would be almost comical if it weren't for his deep and despairing eyes. They are the eyes of a man who has passed through the gates of alien hells and returned, though not necessarily whole. His fingers, tightly wrapped around some fine glassware, are strong and slim, a musician's fingers, or a strangler's. You can't read his thoughts at all. You might as well try to read the thoughts of a wall. Before you open your mouth to speak, he says, "What is that place in your head?" I don't know. Do you mind if I take a quick look? Seems like a strange thing to carry and not know anything about. His voice is polished and clean, friendly but intent. Go ahead. My thanks. Though it's not often the wisest choice to let strangers enter your mind. I'll not do you any harm. Might even help. He smiles to take the sting out of his words. Ready? He breathes in, and suddenly you feel you are a mote tucked inside a gigantic prison, with eyes peering in at you from all around. You are held tightly in an enormous fist. You are a flimsy piece of glass held up to the light. Yet somehow it is not utterly terrifying. His words come to you as if from a distance. A shared space. Such depths, such twists. It builds itself around your experiences, around those who share it with you. Shared spaces are occasionally dangerous, so I sharpen that part of your mind. His voice draws closer, and the pressure eases. I didn't probe deeply, but this would be an excellent battleground. If I lured a foe to you, you could trap it within your mind. You could destroy it. Oh, introductions. Yes. Ah, sweet, I permanently gained one intellect. Awesome. He sets the glass down and shakes your hand. I'm Dama of the Bloom. He pinches the bridge of his nose, his eyes tightly shut, and you feel a gentle and powerful presence surround your consciousness. I have a request for you. It might seem strange, but you have an interesting topography to your mind. You might be able to help us. The Fifth Eye is home to psychic veterans. We fought an incursion of nightmares, I suppose. Nightmares slithering into the city's shared dream space, eating minds and leaving husks behind. We called them the adversaries. We burned them out and cauterized the wounds through which they infected our reality, but I can't shake the nagging feeling that one of them survived and waits to strike. I trust my intuition, and now it's telling me to ask you for your help. I'd be happy to help. What do I need to do? Making a note. He breathes a sigh of relief. My thanks. I feel the adversary. I know it's here. I know it's close. It's watching us, but it's hiding its presence. and I fear it'll strike when our guard is down. It may well be in the fifth eye even now. He shrugs helplessly. Sadly, our fifth eye is blind. He jerks a thumb at the bartender. It might be that our foe has blinded us, but it might not have shielded itself from you. Look for it. Tell me if you find something unusual. Tell me about yourself. I told you they called me of the Bloom. I was born there, and I knew nothing of the world outside for the longest time. I thought it was normal to play in passages made of gut and tissue, to hide from slavers in diverticula, to watch visitants staggering from other worlds. I learned how to read people there and how to understand them. And one day, I left the Bloom and came to Sagas Cliffs, and I discovered the world was a different place than I thought, a better place. That's when I learned to fight. That's why I learned to fight. He gestures at himself. This is in the warrior's body, of course, not in the usual sense. He smiles, and a great pressure swells in your head and vanishes before you can even register alarm. But I'm not usual. No one in the fifth eye is. We're psychics, psionics, seers. Call us mind benders or thought rivers, but we're warriors. We keep the minds of Sagas Cliffs safe from threats they don't even imagine. The old man growls. They'd go crazy if they did. Not that they're exactly paragons of sanity at the best of times. What is this place? This is the Fifth Eye. You might think of it as a retirement home or a veterans hospital, but it wasn't always this way. Look around you. He gestures at the pipes and the disused machinery. There's a reason we're here. Ask your questions. Can you tell me about the nature of the Fifth Eye? What did you mean when you said it was a veterans hospital? He raps on the nearby wall. It's a solid sound, no vibration. We don't know what this place was, though the pipes and the machinery make it seem like a kind of pumping station. But what it is to us is, and then his mind whispers in yours, sanctuary. A crawling sensation, like insects under your scalp. This is what the outside world is. You see an image of the city beneath you, writhing with ribbons of light that flare in a million colors. Each of those ribbons is a thought, word, deed, and each calls out for attention. His companions nod. He continues speaking. When we're here, we can dampen that noise. The voices become voluntary. We can still listen, but it's not insistent. Whatever else this building is, it's shielded, safe for our kind. Tell me about the history of the Fifth Eye. The psychically sensitive have been hiding here for generations. The endless battle, the Cobalt Breach, the rising blood, all the great psionic conflicts have victors and the defeated. But more importantly, they have the wounded, the veterans. The scars of 1,000 mental battles slip away here. We can let our guards down. He drinks, and so we do. It's a long history. I should write it down sometime, but he shrugs. I'm feeling lazy. What can you tell me about the adversaries? A good question. Better if I show you. He closes his eyes, and you feel an insistent nudge in your mind. Then your vision goes black, replaced with a nightmare. You see a void, oblivion, a place where black stars hang and shriek with formless rage. Violet lightning arcs through the sky, and you witness enormous masses of postulant orbs raging against each other. Streams of conscious thought rocket from them, and they scream of need, desire, hatred. Other emotions arrive with these wisps of mental energy that curl like steam. They brush your consciousness with a touch beslimed with the unknowable hungers of an alien mind. These luminous wisps quest through invisible cracks in dimensional walls. New worlds, unsuspecting minds, brilliant lights unfolded in the adversaries' decaying orbits, imprisoned stars waking out forever. They came through the bloom, shining and tenebrous at the same time, he whispers. They offered games, riches, promises for the future. I felt their passage and was afraid. and I hid my mind from their questing touch. I felt them reach for me, and I cowered in my shell. She lays a hand on Dama's shoulder. Those who didn't hide saw the lure, and they were drawn into that unwinnable mental game. Attracted by the light of the adversaries' minds, they followed their own dreams of madness. Psychics and normal people alike. The ruin of the city's mind was, she shakes her head. You were wise enough to see beyond the lure and into the danger. You couldn't stand against them yourself, so you hid. We all did. Not all, he growls. Some stood. They played the game and got cracked like glow globes. I felt them die, and their spirits got sucked into a vortex of endless fear. You did the right thing, Dama, and I've told you that before. Fine, fine, he replies, waving the words away. But you've seen what the adversaries are like now, inhuman with no negotiation. Maybe they're communicating with us and we don't understand them. But I tell you, if this is their hello, I don't want anything else to do with them. So those of us who survived that initial incursion gathered here. We set aside our differences and we fought back, but not without our own losses. Can you tell me about the people here? He smiles a little wistful. Sure, but keep in mind most of them can hear us. Who did you want to gossip about? The others burst out laughing. He gestures around the bar. They've all got their stories. Some of them aren't from this world. Some aren't even real. This summons another peal of laughter. He points his chin around the room. There's Steberos, Ziob, and Leto. Oh, and Feriak. We own the place together. We've all fought in the manner of wars, battles, and conflicts. We've traveled for some, worn Esper helmets for others, or projected ourselves across the world. But the worst was the adversaries. They were the true test for us all. They forged their friendship tighter than any other experience could have. Best part is, we've sacrificed our lives, our friends, and our sanity for a city that'll never know. They keep on with their daily lives and just assume the rash of madness is some effect of the Numenera. Gave up the best part of their minds, and they don't even care. Doesn't matter to me what the rabble think, but it'd be nice to at least get some professional recognition. We've been over this, Steberos. We don't do it for ourselves. We do it because it's the right thing. Why does it matter if they know or not? The important thing is that you took action. Sure, saving the lives of people who flinch when they see me coming. I love seeing mothers snatch their children from my path. Clearing the insects from my bedroll is the next important step in knowing that I took action, because the ingrates in Sagas Cliffs won't even sell me a damn clean sheet. If they were dead, at least I could steal their sheets. Who do you think the adversaries would go after once all the citizens were dead, friend? You think they'd head out into the world, leaving your mind glowing bright behind them? I could shield myself no problem. I did it when they came out, remember? Just like you. Yes, I did, but I found help, and we hunted those bastards down and wiped most of them out. You? If you were alone here, you'd get tired of having to hide your true self around them and start cursing at them just so they'd notice you. He turns and holds his hands up. You see what I have to put up with? Ask for a modicum of respect, and instead I get mockery. I don't know why we pay attention to this whole gallows glass. Let's talk about Theberos. Theberos, despite his terrible complexion, gaunt face, bird-like nose, and questionable taste and haberdashery. Actually, I'm trying to think of any redeeming qualities that might upset all this. I'm right here, you know. He ignores his friend. Ah yes, despite all these obvious disadvantages, Theberos has become one of the preeminent warriors of the language in the entire world. You can laugh, but the old saying is undeniably true. The tongue with the word is deadlier than the hand with the sword. Unless the sword hand gets you before you can make someone else get in the way, he mutters. He laughs. He can plant words in your mind that will activate and weaponize your body against itself. With a word, he can spin illusions inside your skull. He knows the hidden receptors and compartments of the mind, and he can whisper Locky dead. That a fair enough assessment, eh? His friend nods. Let's talk about Zio. Let's not. Nonsense. Zio is our enforcer, our telekinetic. She summons visions for us to distract our foes, projects deadly energy, and harnesses the power of the physical world to anchor us, or our enemies, while we deliver the killing blow. She also lets us focus our energy through her. She is what you might call our heavy weaponry, because she makes the immaterial world much, much more tangible. While we frolic in the playgrounds of the mind, she's concerned with more earthly matters. How poetic, you old scholar. Truly, you took the words straight from my... Why, you dirty thief. He holds his hands up in surrender. You're practically shouting, Zio. How could I help but listen? Let's talk about Feria. He doesn't look toward the bar, but his mood turns somber. A true empath. Our spotter, back when we could do the work. A brave man, aware of the risks he took. Psychically sensitive, able to catch the lure of the adversaries, and willing to run with it. If it hadn't been for him, we'd never have had the success we did. He looks down at the table. The last one we fought caught him. It took his... He pauses, lost in thought. She steps in. It took some of the things that make him special. He can't spot it for us anymore. His powers aren't what they were. He's a shadow of his own self. But the old skiss sucker has our thanks anyway. He raises his glass toward the bartender and drops it on the table as Zio punches his arm. Ow! That's bad luck, you know. Don't speak an ill word about him, Thedros. Not after what he did. You know how I feel about Feriax, Zio. He swishes the liquid left in his glass, his head and voice lowered. Before he lost his powers, he was one of the best of our team. One of the best I've ever known. They all nod. Don't tell him I said so. Zio punches him again. Let's talk about Leto. She's our seer, our prescient. She knew where the adversaries were going to be. She knew when they'd be there. So we could set ourselves up in time. His voice is somber. But they grew wise to her. They threw themselves through probability space, played the game of maybe with her. They were better than she was. Not so loud, he murmurs. It wasn't her fault. I never said it was, he radiates tension. The adversaries got better than all of us. We're lucky they only... He wipes a tear from his eye. We're lucky we only took the losses we did. Zio challenged me to find out which one of these is a projection. So, are you real? Me? I'm as real as they come. He slaps his belly. Could a projection do that? He pauses. Come to think of it, Zio probably could make one do that. And make it sound right, too. She's good. But how could you test whether a psychic emanation was real? That bro said I should pay attention to your stories. I hate to say it, but he's right, for once. What did the others say about me? Do I even have any interesting stories? Anything about growth, journey, change? I'm not sure I do have any good stories. I'm the same as I've always been. Sadly, more's the pity. Zio said I should focus on physicality. Here's a hint. He reaches out and clasps you on the shoulder, his fingers holding tight. Projections play on your expectations, but they're also pierced easily. He means back. Good luck with it. He doesn't move, and your finger sinks into his flesh. He grins. Satisfied?
in an instant.
Let's
Oh,
go.
he's stuck. Okay.
Of course.
Damn pathing. Psyop says one of you is a psychic projection. Are you a projection or are you real? Who could say what reality is? I see strands of possibility tying the future and the past together. Probabilities grow and decrease. Is a small probability a reality? In one universe it'll be. In another, it has vanished into the web of might-have-beens, an opportunity for nostalgia or gratitude at avoiding it. I tell you that reality is more than our perception of time. It exists beyond us. What is in the past extends into the future. Touch the threads of the past and you could see their intended shape. Know what it is that you seek and you will be able to discern your reality. Ha! What are you even saying, Leto? A smile touches her lips. Only the one who would question reality must know how that reality should behave. She faces you more fully. I am not this projection you seek. Can you tell me any stories about your friends? He is the lodestone, the hourglass, the light that lifts and the rope that binds. His strength is our strength, and through him we become stronger. He is the caller, the bringer, the tactician, and the strategist. He brings us to this place, and in the future he is gone. She does not see you as she speaks. The unseen adversary claims him, unless the probabilities are too low. She shakes her head, bringing herself back to the present. Is he still here? She slashes a glance at Dama and breathes a sigh of relief. Seer of pain and love, a great light. His power is speech and attraction. An empath, a weaver of hope and reconciliation. The story I love most is this. An angry citizen comes threatening violence, and Feriak eats his pain and makes a new man in his place. In those old strands, Feriak is my friend. And you mine, Leto. Let's talk about Zio. She gives herself too little credit. During the Cobalt breach, she erected a shield around her company and fires precise bolts of telekinetic rage at attackers. She destroys their inhuman captain, hurling him from the walls into dark space, then dismembers the attackers who have come for me. And that day she is my hero. She's the one who can touch the physical world so completely. And when Dama dies, she stands to unite us. No, wait, this isn't real. Not yet. She slaps herself lightly and mutters, walk in this world, Leto. This world alone. He follows the trail of the words of Kra. He finds the dead village. In his mind, he seals the words and they chew him to pieces until his brain has lost their knowledge altogether. She looks across the bar at the old man. No, that is a past possibility. That is not this reality. His mind is still intact. His stories still resonate. Is this the world in which he buries the last of the words of Kra? She shrugs, but he is the man who helped plan our battlefields. He shapes our expectations. It is he who brings the first adversary low. It shows him a story, and he tells it a better one. It bows to his vision before it knows his strength, and he traps it. He is a hero to this reality, although he knows it not. She shakes her head. I've spoken all the stories I will tell. Can you tell me about yourself again? I am a prescient, though certain matters are occluded to me. I come from the town of Jerboa, abutting the great oasis of Mirajolius, and I do not foresee a return to my home in my lifetime. Dama says you're blind. What does that mean? He laughs. I used to be the spotter for this gang. In means I can sense the presence of adversaries, build an attractive playground for them, and draw them after me. The last one I faced, though, his face falls, and he draws it to himself. It burned me out. It put out my eyes, burned me out. Put out my... And then he's back to normal, smiling as if nothing happened. Zio challenged me to find the person who's a psychic projection. Are you the one? He laughs. Now, why would I come right out and tell you? If Zio's playing a game, why should I spoil her fun? Come on, puzzle it out. But let me offer a clue. Know your subjects. Guess that's the kind of thing an empath would say, eh? Alma said that I should touch you. He seems to consider for a moment. Fine, touch away. His flesh is as hard and unyielding as sin steel. Clean living, he mutters. Deborah said I should know about people's stories. And what stories do you want to question? I was the group spotter, an empath, until the adversary burned out that skill. It's basically all you need to know. Leto says that you are an empath, not a telekinetic. Did she not? He looks over at her and frowns. She shrugs. What if I developed telekinesis after the adversary stole my empathic ability? Ziob said I should focus on the physicality. She did. How's this then? He concentrates momentarily, and bottles and glasses circulate in a convoluted pattern around his head. They settle back into place after a moment. How's that for physicality? Interesting.
Look out below! Above! Sideways!
Alright. Well, I've spoken to everybody. I'm gonna think on this a little bit. Plus this, wow, this has been going for an hour. I barely moved. I've stayed in the same room and this has taken an hour of conversation. But I've had a fun time. I love these conversations between well-written dialogue. I could read that stuff all day. So we'll pick up here next time. In between gaming sessions, I'll think about what I've learned from everybody and try to judge in my mind who the projection is.